have developed a platform called Ukulima. And Ukulima is a mobile and web platform. But I start with mobile because that's our main area. We are looking at connecting farmers together so that they can be able to share information, they can share best practices, and ultimately we can be able to get local knowledge of solutions that farmers need. On top of that, the platform itself, when someone comes in and logs in, especially if you're coming from a feature phone, you should be able to put in your phone number and your potential username and password, and you're already in. Then you can get information that can be drilled down all the way to the county level, the type of crop that you farm, and the type of expertise that you have in agriculture. From there, you can be able to meet other people, either based on the areas of interest. So if you have like interests with someone else, you can be able to connect with them. Or if you need to connect with farmers who are within the same geographic location as you, you can be able to connect with them. Once that happens, you can track someone to know what they're talking about, especially if they've established themselves as experts. You can also connect with people where you become followers, and you can have one-on-one conversations. You can send each other messages and things like that. The platform itself also allows you to be able to ask questions, and you can pick a specific person to answer that question, or you can pick experts within a specific area. So if it's, let's say, tomato farming, someone has indicated they are tomato farmers and tomato experts, you can basically ask a question and indicate that you want them to answer the question. We also have groups and group capabilities, because what, based on our research, going out and meeting farmers, what we've learned is that the most basic level of interaction and the most basic level of decision making comes from farmer groups. So most farmers are part of a farmer group, which basically allows them to be able to learn of new technologies and learn of ways that they can be able to either work together to get solutions. So we have put in group capability in there that will allow people to be able to work together, and the person who runs the group can also organize the farmers around specific agenda and specific conversations on the groups themselves. And we have an open API, and we are going to use that so that other web developers and other mobile developers who are creating solutions for farmers can then be able to use that API so that they can deliver those services. So our job will basically be to bring in the farmers, connect them, have them grow the knowledge, and then using an API be able to allow all other app developers. So for example, you have a potato application, then all the potato farmers, you can be able to expose them to your application. They can sign up and be able to use it through that. So an API is similar to a doorway. What we have is we have a house. So the house is Ukulima, and I forgot to mention, if you went to ukulima.net from a mobile browser, you should be able to access the service. So what we've done is the API is a door that will allow anyone else who already has application they've developed for farmers to come and use this doorway so that they can access all the farmers we have in our house. So the job of the API basically is we open the door and bring in new guests to give you solutions.
How is that useful to the farmers?
For the farmer, it will be useful based on the areas of need. So a farmer might need specialized knowledge, for example, and there might be someone who uses the API is offering services, specialized knowledge. So it could be, for example, the app around potato, and you're looking at the potato supply chain. So we can then be able to use those services and using the API, go directly to the potato farmers and say, hey, here is already another service that you can be able to use, and it's doing this and this and this to solve your problems. It's actually free to the farmer because the service in essence is you just sign up and you can use the account. The only difference here is we have our big brother called Safaricom, Airtel, or whoever it is. The person who connects you to the internet will charge you for you to be able to access the service, and that's the only cost. All right, I will get paid from various ways. Number one will be from advertising. So we'll have daily updates, for example, when someone activity has occurred on your page, and you will receive an SMS. When you receive that SMS, at the bottom will be an ad that will run there. The second thing will be a service provider might have, let's say, FarmChem. have a specific type of fertilizer they want to introduce to a specific target. Let's say it's maybe potato farmers in Narok. They have a new fertilizer they want to bring in. They'll say, hey, Ukulima, we need to be able to talk specifically to these farmers. What can you do for us? So for us to give them access to those farmers, FarmChem will pay us. And then with the open API, for any of the apps that make money, we'll basically be taking 30% of that amount, and they keep 70% for them to work with and access our farmers. I have a few thoughts around research institutions, expert knowledge, and what they put to the market. Oftentimes, and we are working actually on a project around this, that you have top level knowledge that never trickles down to the bottom. Because the people who actually get to implement this research that has already been done are either missing because they're working on more research, or they do not speak, as I started speaking about API, they speak expert language, which most farmers don't know. And the biggest problem that we have is the translation from expert knowledge to where a farmer in any part of the country can be able to understand. And I think that's a huge opportunity for anyone who's probably looking at being able to simplify that communication. Yes, if a farmer comes on the platform and they need expert knowledge, we worked with a project in Western Uganda, for example, and what they did is a farmer will ask a question in their mother tongue. It will go all the way to village center, and from the village center, the organization will take that question and go to Makerere University, go to the National Agricultural Research Organization in Uganda, ask the question, bring it back, translate it into local language, and deliver it to the farmer. So the farmer started with a verbal communication. It went all the way, 2 weeks later, they receive an answer. But the problem is that process takes too long. So we're already talking to a number of experts to see if they can be able to come on board. But the key thing here is, can you please speak English or Swahili or our mother tongue, so that everyone can be able to understand. The second problem with that is that most of the expertise that we end up looking for, the thing that makes the most sense sometimes might be data. So raw data, if you're looking at, for example, Kenya Meteorological Department, they have all this weather information, and you can probably draw inference. You have soil types and, okay, what's the type of crop that you can be able to grow in a specific area. We also need people who can be able to simplify that knowledge and make it easier for people to be able to access that. And I think what I have learned, at least from looking at what has happened on the web, the more knowledge you have, the more information you end up having, especially under trial and error. You end up having greater knowledge coming from the people who are actually practically doing it. So for us, when we worked on this platform, our interest was to gain 70% of the knowledge of the platform to come directly from the farmers themselves. And then 30 will come from the experts. So it could be Kari, it could be ICPAC, it could be anyone. But that's only 30%. While 70% itself is from the farmer who's doing something in Kinango, and they have a solution that they can be able to give other farmers. For the second question, in terms of internet access, when we originally built it, we built a mobile app, we built for the Nokia phone, we built the mobile web version and then a website. And what we ended up learning is we went and did all these things without gathering a lot of data from the farmers themselves. And so we basically had crap. It didn't work. So we went back to the kitchen and said, how can we give this same service in its most simplest form so that a farmer can actually be able to use it? And so what we've done is we've started concentrating only on mobile web. Deliver on mobile web because that's the easiest and quickest platform for us to be able to build and test out in the field. And then from there, once we already have what will be the minimum viable product, and where we can say, this is a thing that can scale up. We're going to build a mobile application for it that will run on Java phones, and then slowly we can integrate smartphones and all these other things. And then we're also going to really expand the website. But the key here around internet, we are mostly interested, of late we've started exploring how can we bring in SMS. So you might not necessarily be on the service itself, you might not be online, but because you already know, if you are part of a group, for example, the conversation comes up when you receive the SMS, there is a specific number that is attached. So you can send a regular SMS to the Ukulima platform, and because that number is there, we already know which conversation we are replying to. And so you can actually engage in conversation outside the platform itself. So those are some of the things that we are working, playing around, being able to integrate SMS. But originally we said no SMS. Now we are coming back to try and integrate it.